Hey, it's Tony Byrne, and we're making some changes on the show. It used to be called the Realtor Hot Seat. Now it's called Asking for a Friend. This week we're here with Matt Battin. So let's start with you just telling them about you and your business and in general.
I'm 35. I'm a Sagittarius. I like long walks on the beach and moonlight, candlelight dinners.
Awesome.
I've been a realtor for about 2.5 years. Just decided that, real estate was something that I really wanted to do. I didn't really want to work for somebody anymore.
Right.
I felt like the barrier for entry was pretty low. Yeah, and I typically work with buyers and sellers. I'm not just specifically one or the other. Don't really do commercial. Haven't got into that kind of endeavor yet, but planning on that coming in the next couple of years. But yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I think one thing. I think you made a good point that the barrier to entry to real estate is pretty low, but I guess the barrier to leave is also pretty low. So it's like, you being in it 2.5 years, you're beating most of the people that enter the business, and I think that's something that people need to know out there, that there's 2,000 real estate agents in Spokane, and 20% of those people are doing the actual selling of real estate, and the rest of it seem to be kind of a hobby.
Yeah.
So something to think about out there.
Yeah, and I mean, when you get in, especially in a hot market like we've had, it kind of makes you. It can fool you, I guess,
Right.
would be the best way to say it. It can fool you into thinking that it's easy.
Right.
It's really not. It's difficult, and especially if you have some certain things that you have to overcome personally. Fear of rejection, fear of failure.
Right.
Because you're going to get rejected a lot.
Right.
It's just the way it works. If you have things like that, it makes it a lot more difficult when it's a little bit tougher. But the main thing is that you stick with it, because you really only fail when you quit.
Right.
When you stop doing it completely.
Right. And I think, for clients, again, this is be careful who you choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge deal. So is there a neighborhood you like working in or seem to do a lot of business in Spokane?
So I've, since I work with, everybody, whether it's listings or it's buyers, I have a tendency to work kind of all over. I've gone as far as Newport.
Okay. Wow.
I don't do that very often, but I have done it. Typically, I've done most of my business in the Valley. If I had to choose a neighborhood, I would say it's probably the Shadle area, which is where we are right now. I've kind of grew up in this, in this area. I like the houses that are around here, and I just feel like it's just kind of a quieter area, and I think that just fits my personality personally.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what draws me to it.
So is there? You like the houses here? Is there kind of a standard like house design or house kind of when they were built type stuff? Is there kind of a standard description of them?
I would say for me personally, it's the brick rancher, the one level. I'm not sure exactly what it is about that. That's just me, I guess. Every time I go in one, I'm like, I can kind of see myself living here.
Nice.
I don't know what it is. It's just I don't really, see myself as somebody who wants the basement or the upstairs or attic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just the one level suits me just fine.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to go up or downstairs. It makes it easy.
Nope.
One of the things I know you do a lot of is open houses. Let's talk about kind of how that should buyers visit them, and how can an open house benefit a buyer?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's when you get inside of a house, that's when you really know. Some people, they look on the internet, they see the pictures, they're like, oh, we really love that house. They go inside and they're like, no, we don't like this house at all. So I always tell any client that I work with, regardless if I'm holding it or it's somebody else's, whether I go with them or not, I think that if they want to go, they should go, because you really have to have that feel, because sometimes, you just know, right?
Right.
Like you walk in, you cross the threshold of the door and you know that this is home.
Right.
So I think that's really important for people to do, because you can get sort of fooled by the pictures on the internet. But I think it's just a benefit for you to walk through and you can see where furniture sits, and you can see how rooms are set up, and you can see all things like that. And that just allows you to kind of make the decision, maybe not consciously, but unconsciously, you sort of just know. And I think that's probably the biggest benefit.
So is there, so let's say I'm buying a home and I have an agent. Should I not go to open houses? Should I just set up showings? How does that kind of work?
I'm not of the mind that that you have to go with me. I think the whole process, is about you. It's about the client. It's about the buyer. It's about the seller. So I don't want to make it about myself. If you call me and you're like, hey, we see this open house on Sunday. We'd like to go. What do you think? I'd say absolutely. If you want to go and just walk through the house, I think that is 100% a positive thing. And then we could sit down afterwards and talk about what you see. If I need to go through, maybe if they're thinking, I don't know, and want to go back, we can always set up a showing. We can go back later, and then we can sit down and talk about how they felt about it.
Right, and then obviously, if you don't have an agent, one, that's a way to see a house, and then two, that's a good way to meet an agent as well.
Yeah, they're there to sell that house. So if you're actively looking, you don't have an agent, you want to talk to them. I think that's another benefit that's perfect for a buyer. Maybe I've had it happen several times to where I had people show up. They had told me that they went through 12 open houses and never were approached by an agent. All I did was ask them if they were looking to buy. I asked them if they had an agent. They said no, and that they wanted to buy that house. So it just kind of was at the right place at the right time, just kind of let them do their thing. And I think, if you're either searching for a certain type of house, trying to get the feel, or you really want to talk to an agent and get to know somebody better, I think they're all benefits.
Yeah, in a casual atmosphere. I think the other thing for me as a potential buyer would be if you're in an open house, that the agent that's holding that house open probably has a good feel for that neighborhood of maybe other listings and those kind of things. So it's a good way to ask maybe questions about the neighborhood. One would think the person holding the open house has that kind of access.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're listing the home, and even if they're not, say, typically if it's a newer agent, like this is kind of what I did. I was a newer agent. I didn't have a lot of listings, so I didn't have any listings actually. So I just approached other agents at Century 21, and I said, would you mind if I sat open house for you? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. It's on the agent at that point to kind of educate themselves, but whether they have that answer right away or they can help you, your resource is right there. So like everything you need to know is standing right there in that place, whether it's that house, another house in the neighborhood, or something in a certain school area, wherever you want to be. The best way to find it would be standing right there at that open house.
So we've kind of, I think, covered the buyer side. Let's talk about the seller side. Let's start with, should a seller expect or want to have open houses if their house is on the market?
I'm not really going to speak to an expectation that they should have, but they should want one for sure. An agent should do it as part of their marketing plan, just anyways, whether they do it themselves or they have somebody do it in their office, another agent. But I think the benefits to them having it or wanting it done is the extra exposure that they get. Because it's like I spoke about before. You want people to come and walk through the house. You want people to see furniture set up a certain way, or walk in and, oh, we have that same couch, right? Because then they start to establish that as being somewhere they could live, and their couch is there, they can see their self there. I think the exposure that you get from it, and it's only 2 hours on a Saturday or Sunday. I mean, it's you go have lunch and you come back and it's done.
Yeah, perfect. Are there risks for a seller holding their house open? Like, obviously, people that you don't know are coming into your house. How does that all work and go? How does that go?
So, there's inherent risk. You are allowing strangers to come into your house. As the agent who's holding the open house, I'm not personally vetting these people. I ultimately am responsible for what happens because I'm there and I'm the list agent, or I'm, an affiliate of the list agent. But the risk is things could happen. Things could come up missing. I've never had this happen. I'm not saying it does happen. It could. There's a chance that it could. You just have, if you ask 10 people to come in off the street and walk through your house, is there a chance that something could come up missing? Absolutely.
Right.
That's kind of part of the whole process, though. Is there's a risk with everything. There's a risk if you jump in your car and drive into the store. But I don't think that should deter anybody from doing it, because, like I said, that exposure that you're going to get could potentially be the next person who buys your house walking through that front door. But yeah, there is risk involved, absolutely.
And one would think when you hire an agent, and one would think you guys discuss open houses, right? Like we're gonna have an open house. One would think that conversation comes up. Here's some things you can do. So what are some things people can do to avoid losing items they don't necessarily want to lose in an open house?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you have iPads, if you have laptops, if you have, I wouldn't recommend leaving loads of money laying around.
Right.
Just set everything away because, typically people going through open houses, they're not going to rifle through drawers or anything like that. But there's no reason for you to just leave things laying out. So just kind of pick everything up, kind of put it away. You want it to be as clean as you can have it. Just the less temptation somebody has, the better.
Right.
Right. And I'm not saying inherently people will do things like that. I'm saying that it's better just to not have that as an option.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Is just put your stuff that's easy to walk away with.
Yeah, anything you can stuff into a jacket, put it in your pocket, anything like that, I would definitely put away. They're probably not going to walk out with your $1,000 bike.
Right.
But anything easily accessible, I would definitely put somewhere safe.
So where if I'm a home buyer and I want to go see some open houses, where can I find a list of those?
So the one that filters through our MLS, which is agent access, that's SpokaneOpen.com.
Okay.
That's probably going to have the most detailed list of everything. Zillow and Trulia, if you have a certain house in a certain area that you're looking for, they're going to alert you to anything that pops up on there. And obviously 99% of the firms are going to have that on there. They want people to know. You want people to come in.
Right.
And that would be the best place to do it. Obviously, if the agent, because you can see who the agent is when you look online. If you want to go to their personal Facebook page, if they have an Instagram, they'll probably put it on there.
Right.
But I would say SpokaneOpen.com would be the best place.
Right. And then obviously I see them all the time, yard signs.
Yep.
Just driving around. So if you're kind of in a neighborhood that you're looking at, one would assume that's kind of
it happens all the time. A lot of people will just be, we were just out driving around. We liked the neighborhood, so we saw the sign, stopped in. It happens a lot more than people probably think.
Yeah. So SpokaneOpen.com is kind of the best resource in town. Okay, so we always ask, what are some of your favorite places to eat in Spokane?
One of them is the Cascadia Public House. That's up off of Francis and Ash. The food is incredible. I recommend it highly. The other place that I highly recommend is Tortilla Union. You and I have been there.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't even know what else to say. Besides that, their shrimp tacos are some of the best I've ever had. Just absolutely delicious. It's down in the mall downtown. If you ever get a chance to go, make sure you do it.
Perfect. And what do you get at Cascadia Public House?
Their Philly.
Okay.
The Philly was the best I've ever had. I'm not like a connoisseur of fine cheesesteaks or anything like that, but it was really good. And I recommend that you get it if you go there. Their whole menu, but I mean, besides, everything on there is good.
Good. Thanks for joining us on this as we make the transition to asking for a friend. Let's tell the people on the interwebs where they can find you.
So you can find me on Facebook at mattsellsspokane.com, Instagram, mattsellsspokane.com, all one word. My phone number is 509-638-5390. That's 509-638-5390.
Awesome. We'll see you next time on Asking for a Friend.
Thank you.